The last question I have on this was, and I think this is really important because it speaks to the democracy dimension. Like Cornel West just knocked it out, right? Like there's either a real democracy or things like this emerge, period. And then when things like this happen, we need to disaggregate and figure out, like some of the reporting coming out of Minnesota, which I have zero doubt about, is like, look, if you're from a neighborhood that is on the receiving end of these tactics and this type of policing and this murder, I have no comment, zero judgment on anything that you do, period, full stop. I have nothing to elaborate. That might offend some people, but that just is what it is. And at the same time, I have no doubt that there are outside forces, there's police, there's a lot of other aspects at these protests to both try to make the protesters look bad and maybe even do the other goal of damaging these neighborhoods while they're at it. So I think we need to, can't be naive. We have to be really attentive and really smart, really shrewd about this stuff and not just fetishize action for action's sake. And on top of that starts to become then the question of like, what are the actual political demands that emerge out of this? It starts really simple. You commit a fucking murder in broad daylight, you get charged with murder. Now there's a question about, starting to seriously slash police department funding. Obviously, that needs to happen. That money needs to get redirected to things with social and economic productive use. And then the last thing that I wanted to put on the docket and get your thoughts on, I know we also talked about this the other day too, but I'd like, both of your thoughts on this. There's this piece by Adolph Reed in Non-Site from 2016, where he goes into the numbers generally about police violence in this country. And of course, it's racist. It's just Black people are targeted and victims of police violence at an absolutely high rate relative to population. Everybody knows that. It's disgusting. It's a reality that must end. And then in addition to that, there's studies like police violence in neighborhoods where the median income is above $100,000, less than 10%, maybe less than 5%. Median income is around 50, 90%. Right. And in a general in America across all demographics, even when we're getting out of disproportionate application, police kill a lot of people of all racial backgrounds in this country. This is violent profession relative. So I'm wondering, like, in terms of what you think the broader set of demands could be, and is there also the opportunity to say that in addition to the racist white supremacy-based terrorism that is obviously on display here, there's also a big picture question that cuts across class, race, and the very nature of policing itself that we need to build a coalition around to change.
Mike, what you're talking about is very smart in the sense that and I'll tell you guys a quick story. I went to Penn State for like the first 2 years of my college career, and Penn State is located in the middle of Pennsylvania, which is absolutely nothing like Philadelphia. And I mean, people call Pittsburgh a city, but whatever. It's not even like Pittsburgh, right? And I happen to live with 4 kids who were from central Pennsylvania. Like, I'm talking about places where there were literal dirt roads, right? Like these are poor working folk, white people though. And I remember the first time I heard them talk about the cops in ways that I would hear people in my all Black neighborhoods talk about the cops, call the cops pigs. They would disparage other people from communities that might be affiliated with the cops as narcs. They use some of the same vernacular of anti-police people that only Black people I'd ever heard talk about cops this way. And again, these are people from poor rural areas in not Alabama and Mississippi, but Pennsylvania, right? Like, we wouldn't associate that sort of thinking with people from this part of the country, but yet here they were telling me like, yeah, man, the freaking cops in my neighborhood are assholes. I hated those dudes. They were terrible to me and my homies. They harassed us because we weren't the rich kids. Like, you're talking about something that's absolutely true across America when it comes to poor communities, because that's what I feel like comfortable people think. Like, the police are their personal bodyguards. The white lady in Central Park, Amy Cooper, whatever her name is, it's like not only you, like not even when I feel threatened, like you're my personal Cujo. I get to sick you on a motherfucker whenever, you know, I get the need or I feel like I want to do that. And so, you know, that goes across the board. Like if, you know, and you see it out here in California, the way people treat the homeless people. Right. And that goes across. It don't matter if you white, black, Latin American, or whatever the case may be. Homeless people get treated with the wrath when it comes to police. And I've heard it. It's like, yo, treat them like criminals, lock them up. You know what I'm saying? So that, and what you're saying is very prescient because it does across the board. Policing is seen by, you know, our comfortable class of people who feel like, I don't want a dirty guy breathing on my Starbucks. Ugh. God, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like those people view the police force as literally their private security detail.
Such a good point. You're absolutely right. And in Los Angeles alone, you have 60,000 people living on the streets. 60,000 people. That is an army of people, right? Who feel that they have nothing left to lose. So yeah, I think that you summarized it so perfectly. All right. So we originally wanted to have you on to also talk about some other issues, including some changes in the NBA. I do want to take like a quick break, though, if that's all right with everybody. So let's do that. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk about the players movement within the NBA.